So Nathan, last week for Maryland, playing against two top 5 opponents, number 5 Iowa, number 2 Northwestern. Maryland 4 goals the entire weekend, all of them coming from Brown transfer Danielle Van Rootselaar, and 2 of those game-winning goals in overtime. What has she meant to this Maryland team since she's came over from the Ivy League?
She's meant everything to this team, from defensive ability to, like you said, Ben, scoring all 4 goals in a weekend where they needed to come out of there with 2 wins. They beat 2 top 5 teams, jump up to number 2 in the national poll, and Van Rootselaar has been the key to it all.
So Maryland will get underway here against the Indiana Hoosiers, a team that they've never lost to. They're 0-9 all time against the Terrapins.
Last year's matchup resulted in an 8-2 victory for Maryland, so 10th all-time matchup between these 2 teams should be in for an exciting night of field hockey.
Maryland solidified themselves as one of, if not the best team in the Big Ten so far. They're first in goals per game and points. They're tied for 4th with most goals allowed, 2nd in most shots and penalty corners, and they're last in saves and save percentage. But that's kind of a testament to how good Maryland's defense has been this year.
No doubt about it. Only have given up 16 goals and are out shooting their opponents 239 to 75 through the first 12 matches.
So Indiana just trying to get out of their zone. Maryland putting heavy pressure here in this opening minute. Coming back across, and Rain Wright will play it over to the right side to Verleg. And we're going to get an early penalty corner coming up for Maryland. Already a really big chance for Maryland to get on the board here early.
In terms of penalty corners, Maryland, this will be their 91st penalty corner of the year. For Indiana, this will be the 87th one that they've allowed the other team to take. So it's definitely a good thing for Maryland that they're likely gonna get a lot of penalty corners tonight against a team that struggles defensively.
So it looks like it'll be Emma DeBurdine here to insert it, and Van Rootselaar, the backbone of the team in recent weeks, set here to take the shot. And Rootselaar scored Maryland's 4 of her last goals. We'll see if she can make it 5. The set in from Verdine. The shot is blocked down, but it remains in the circle. And a deflection by Indiana. And they'll keep it away. Now a whistle going Indiana's way.
That's a great first stop there by Indiana. Maryland pushing the agenda in that first 90 seconds. They get the penalty corner, but Indiana able to get the deflection and deflect Van Rootselaar's first shot of the night.
Arabella Lovrich started all games so far this year. She started 19 games in her freshman year out of Auckland, New Zealand. There's a couple of players from Indiana, from New Zealand in that same area. And she's been pretty solid for Indiana so far this season, Nathan.
Absolutely. Is tied for first in the conference in shutouts, 3rd most saves in the conference as well. So even though Indiana has some struggles defensively, Arabella Lovrich is definitely going to give the Terrapins a tough test tonight.
All played inside. Here's DeBurdine. She'll take the shot and was kicked away by Lovrich. So Maryland with a couple of early chances. That's already 2 shots on the day for the Terps. Now Rain Wright will play it over to the other side. Maryland trying to work on the right side. And a whistle, and it'll just be Maryland possession on the right side.
It's been all Maryland so far offensively. Indiana still really yet to have an opportunity with the ball.
And something Maryland's really good is time of possession. We've seen in so many games this year where Maryland just dominant with possession. They don't let the other teams get many chances, and then there's going to be another whistle in the circle. Maryland going to take possession still, but that's one of the things Maryland just does really well is they don't really let their opponents have that many opportunities. And that was Van Rootselaar trying to get in the circle, and she'll be whistled, and Indiana will take possession.
Yeah, talk about opportunities. They just gave one away there. Van Rootselaar just a little too aggressive going along the back line and went out right by that right corner of the cage, and Indiana finally with a chance to move the ball offensively.
Indiana trying to get out Van Rootselaar, trying to stop them, which will be whistled.
And last weekend, Maryland really didn't have the opportunity to get going early. Of course, they played number 3 Iowa and number 2 Northwestern. Both those were their previous rankings. Now Maryland moves up to number 2 in that coaches poll. But still, nonetheless, Maryland had to rely on, as Ben mentioned in the open, 2 of those game-winning goals from Van Rootselaar in order to get both of those victories. So going to be interesting to see if Maryland can get an early lead here in this one.
Here's the Burdine into the circle. Heavy traffic, and Indiana's able just to keep it away. And Indiana will just clear it all the way down the field. And Paige Keft will let it roll all the way down and out of play.
Indiana flipping the field for the first time tonight. It's been all Maryland on the other side of midfield.
Mara Verleg had a little bit of trouble with it, but Keft will give it right back. Wright moving it forward now over to Fichter, who'll give it back to Wright. Maryland switching the field again. Maryland is trying to keep Indiana on their toes in their own zone, but Maryland gives it away.
Another turnover there for Maryland, and Indiana's trying to take advantage.
That pass was intended for Maddie Geyer, but a little too far out in front of her. Maryland will take back possession.
One thing to make note of, over the weekend, last weekend, Maryland was without Hope Rose for both of those games with a lower leg injury. Once again, she is out today with that same lower leg injury, so Riley Donnelly gets the start instead of Hope Rose. And once again, Maryland's one of their best offensive players is going to be out once again. So just another wrinkle in this Maryland attack tonight to see if they can still maintain their 11-1 record.
That was Donnelly getting the steal. Now Maryland coming the other way. Like you said, Maryland, even though they're out one of their best offensive players, we've seen how deep this Maryland team is. But as we mentioned earlier, Van Rootselaar, all 4 goals last weekend. So if you're Maryland, you can't really expect that to be a sustainable measurement for the way they're going to score. They're going to need some other players to step up for them as well.
No doubt about it. And Leah Krause has really stepped up in recent weeks. The Duke transfer, second in the team, third on the team with 7 goals this season. Rose leads the team with 10, with Van Rootselaar coming in at second with 9. So definitely a lot of goal scorers capable on this Maryland attack.
So Maryland tried to play it inside, but Indiana takes it away. And this is a Hoosiers team that really hasn't had that many challenges yet in the Big Ten, just 1-2 with their lone Big Ten win coming against number 21 Rutgers 2-0. So that was an impressive win for this Indiana team.
They've had a couple of tough games. Their second game of the year was against number 6 Liberty at the time. Then they had to go on the road to face Iowa, and then they also had to go on the road to face Louisville. And then their last game, 4-0 loss to Penn State, who's in the top 10 as well. So been very tough in terms of out-of-conference and in-conference opponents so far for the Hoosiers, and that's what the 8-5 record shows.
So Maryland will have possession from the baseline. And Maryland will now switch the field. Verleg moves over to Fichter on the left side, and now she looks towards right for a moment, but she'll give it back to Mara Verleg. Verleg trying to play it down. And Rootselaar floating around the middle, looking for that opportunity to make it in the circle. The ball will come to her, but she'll be tripped up on her own stick. Nice defensive play by Indiana. That was Taylor Ettling on the stop there.
Ettling's floating around Van Rootselaar a little bit, playing similar to a zone defense, just kind of, but keeping an eye on Van Rootselaar in the middle. They're not going to let Danielle Van Rootselaar beat them.
So Maryland with 2 shots early. They've been a little quiet since that moment, but controlling possession for the most part. Indiana really unable to get any kind of offensive possession going so far. Maryland doing a good job. DeBurdine filling around the stick with the ball into the circle, and a lot of commotion. Looks like a whistle against Maryland, and there's an injured Indiana player on the field.
Bressler brought the stick back, wanted to go with the slap shot on the left side and caught the Indiana defender on the other side. I believe that was Kiwak.
It looked like it was one of those backhanded shot attempts, and she kind of probably wasn't able to see.
It's actually Emma Thompson, the freshman that's the injured Hoosier, so she will come off and Kiwak will enter for her, as well as Kylie Dawson, another freshman for the Hoosiers, checking in.
A lot of young talent on this Indiana team. Yep, Vanderwarren, who started all games, the freshman, now is a sophomore, and she played a vital role in the Indiana defense. It had 7 shutouts last year. Maryland gets it into the circle. We're gonna have a whistle. This one's gonna be a penalty corner for Maryland.
And Nieswanger did a nice job of just driving it straight in off of the change possession. And she draws the penalty corner. Now Maryland's gonna get a second opportunity from the corner in the first 9 minutes.
In that Michigan game, Maryland had 7 penalty corners in that game, and it wasn't until the Leo Krause overtime goal, which was the game winner, that was the first time they scored. So Maryland got to take advantage of these opportunities here early. We see Mahara when she talks about how they do it. So DeBernine insert, the shot comes from Maryland, and it's turned away by Loveridge, still loose in front, and Loveridge gets on top of it, but it's tapped in by the Terrapins. A second and third effort is enough for Maryland to get it in. A little tough to see all the commotion in front of the net. Nevertheless, Maryland takes a 1-0 lead.
And that was just a great job by Maryland of being able to continue to fight to get the ball into the back of the cage despite a defensive save by Indiana. And then Loveridge doing another job with another save, but then as you can see, Emma DeBerdine able to get that third attempt into the back of the cage, and Maryland leads 1-0.
I was about to make a comment on how Loveridge was standing on her head on that possession, just turning away absolutely everything. But that third effort, DeBerdine doing a really good job coming from where she inserted. She stayed home on that far post, and once the ball kind of came right in that area for her, she was just able to put it home.
5th goal of the year for DeBerdine. And Maryland looking to ride this momentum they set early. I mentioned a couple minutes ago how Maryland hadn't had many opportunities early in games this past 2 games against Northwestern and Iowa. Now here against Indiana, they grab a 1-0 lead here in the first 10 minutes of the game.
So the Van Rootselaar streak of goals is finally over. It ended at 4. Now DeBerdine sets herself in a new record. Hopefully some more Maryland players will get on the board for themselves. We don't have another situation like that.
One captain to another.
So Maryland will play it back. And already 5 shots in the game for Maryland, none for Indiana. Coming in the circle, a pass inside for Maryland. It's just barely turned away by Loveridge.
Another great opportunity there for Maryland. Donrat bringing it up. Couldn't quite tell who got the shot off, but just wide to the left. Another very close opportunity for Maryland. Was a couple feet away from making it a 2-0 advantage.
So feet curl played over to Verleg. Verleg now trying to find the middle. That's where Maryland's had success, but she'll give it over to the left side for Wright. Will now play in the middle. Here's Van Rootselaar, her slapper, and a kick save made by Loveridge. So another good chance for Maryland. That's their 7th shot of the game now.
Once again, Loveridge doing everything she can to deflect these Maryland shots. Van Rootselaar, perfect placement on the ground of that left side, but Loveridge once again gets a pad out there. Another kick save for Indiana goalkeeper, the sophomore.
Maryland trying to play in the middle, looking for Donner. Van Rootselaar finds it. She'll take a slapper, and another save made by Loveridge. Loveridge has had to make a plethora of saves so far in this first quarter as 3:13 to go. And already 4 saves on the day for her.
And once again, it's going to lead to another penalty corner here for Maryland. Just for a team like Indiana, you can't let Maryland get too many opportunities from the penalty corner early, because we've seen they've already capitalized on one, but the more opportunities you allow, the less likely you're going to have a chance for success. Maryland coming in averaging 3.75 goals per game over the first 12 matches. They already have 1, and as you keep giving them more opportunities, they're going to capitalize eventually.
So the Burdine will set it in. Here's Van Rootselaar with the shot blocked down, and the deflection comes, and it gets hit. And it looks like it almost caught the face of Emma de Burdine, and there's going to be a whistle. I'm not sure what the call is here. Potentially a high stick, maybe?
What a wild sequence that was. Van Rootselaar takes the opening shot, blocked by Loveridge. Donrat tries to go up above Loveridge, and then Indiana defender slaps it down, nearly catches de Burdine on the face. If she didn't put her stick up in front of the face, it would have got her, but it deflects off of de Burdine's stick. And it looks like they're going to get another opportunity from the penalty corner here.
So Maryland, maybe going to change it up a little bit. Still de Burdine, set it in. Looks like Van Rootselaar is still set to take the shot. The insert in, Verleg now going to take it. That one's blocked down. There's Van Rootselaar in front of the net. Ball still loose. And it's going to be another penalty corner coming up for Maryland.
And once again, I mentioned a couple minutes ago, just the continuous opportunities for Maryland. Indiana really hasn't had any chances offensively. They've been playing defense for the entirety of this opening quarter, and their backs are just against the wall. They had a nice defensive save on the goal originally, and then they had a nice defensive save on that last opportunity. Can they do it again?
So the 5th penalty corner of the game, de Burdine, to Van Rootselaar, and Indiana blocks it down once again. And we're going to have a 6th penalty corner coming up.
4 consecutive. And Maryland just keeps getting the lucky bounce off the foot, high stick. And any which way they could get another penalty corner, they've got it here on this possession.
So one more time, de Burdine taking the shot, and this time it's deflected away. And looks like we're going to have another whistle. Not sure what the call is. And there'll be no call, it looks like, and Indiana will finally take possession. What a huge defensive stand for Indiana.
And deflected off of Maggie Carter for the Hoosiers, and they're finally able to escape the cage and the dangers that Maryland had shown there on the penalty corner. Excellent defensive stop when your backs are against the wall. And now they have an opportunity on the other end to try and tie this thing up.
Trying to make her way through is Lara Mortz, but it's taken away. Trying to fight for it is BB Donrat. Now Indiana pin themselves in the quarter. Van Rootselaar takes it away. De Burdine has it now, the play to the right. And here comes Leah Krause. And then a shot inside, and it's another score for Maryland. This time, it looks like BB Donrat tapping it home on the inside. A nice pass coming from de Burdine.
Man, what another sequence that was from Maryland. I think it was Krause with the assist. Laser beam off of the right side of the circle into a wide open Donrat, who just tapped it in for the 2nd goal. And Maryland, after scoring 2 goals in each of their last 2 games, get 2 here in the first 13 minutes of regulation.
So already 12 shots in this first quarter for Maryland. Under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Donrat with the score. Now 2 different goal scores today for Maryland. They lead 2-0. So great start for this Maryland team. We'd seen games where Coach Missy Maharg had been disappointed in Maryland for having too slow of a start, not taking advantage of some opportunities. I mean, we've seen 6 corners so far in this first quarter, and Maryland now has 2 goals as a result. But Maryland hasn't even really capitalized on those corners, which is the thing. They actually just generated that play all through an incredible pass by Leah Krause, and just good ball movement by the Terps overall. That's what they've done really well so far this season, but a lot of corners so far in this first quarter for Maryland. And I bet you if they told you after this, they probably should have scored on a couple more of those.
Absolutely, and they kept getting those opportunities back to back to back on the couple of possessions ago. And then they get another opportunity there, and without the penalty corner, Kraus able to execute with the pass, and Donrat there to finish it off.
So Donrat was trying to find Van Rootselaar in the middle, but there'll be a whistle, and Indiana will take back possession. Maryland with heavy pressure here, trying to keep Indiana from getting it out of their zone. And Indiana will, but they'll give it back. Now here comes DeBurdine. DeBurdine pass to Van Rootselaar, who gives it back to Donrat. Tries to work her way through the middle, but there'll be a whistle. Maryland will keep possession. Donrat now plays it to the middle and is kicked away by Loveridge. Van Rootselaar now with it, and she'll play it back for Wright. Feeker over to Verleg, who plays it inside, and that one just trickles past BB Donrat, who is sitting in front of the net. And that will bring us to the end of the first quarter. So Maryland, 6 penalty corners, and all offensive show out from Maryland in that first quarter. 13 shots, they put in 2, and they have a 2-0 lead.
Over BB Donrat gets that second goal, her 5th of the season.
So Donrat, another one of those key players for Maryland, with Hope Rose being out, needing some of these offensive players to step up. Donrat so far stepped up for Maryland today. It was a really good pass from Leah Krause, and it kind of just shows how deep this Maryland team is offensively. They have so many different players that can score. We know last weekend, kind of a rare exception, Van Rootselaar scoring all 4 goals over the weekend. But I think Maryland took a lot of time in practice week to realize that can't be so dependent on one player, and we've seen the way they've been able to get so much of the offense involved in that first quarter. Really good sign for Maryland. Put up 13 shots in 1 period. This is really good stuff offensively, and I'm sure Coach Moore can't really complain about that.
Absolutely. 4 players from Maryland with at least 2 shots tonight. Van Rootselaar has taken 2 herself, but neither have found the back of the cage, but DeBurdine and Donrat have both found the cage themselves, and that's where we stand. It's a 2-0 Maryland lead. Here about 30 seconds into the second quarter. Fiechter's gonna play it back to Rain Bright. Bright, the reigning Big Ten and National Defensive Player of the Week. Van Rootselaar also swept the National and the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week honors last week, with Sophie Clouts getting the Big Ten Freshman of the Week honors for the 3rd time this season. Now just going back and forth with Wright in the middle, now over to Verleg. Indiana still having to play a big defensive battle, really never had any chance for an offensive display in that opening quarter. No shots for Indiana, 13 for the Terrapins, 8 of those 13 being on goal. And now Krause working around traffic, gives it back to Wright, back over to Verleg. Now along the right side, that's Donnelly, kicks off her foot, and it's gonna go out of bounds, and Indiana's gonna go the other way.
And if you're Indiana, you really got to take advantage of Maryland turnover. They've been so dominant on offense so far today, and really got to make the most of your opportunities to even get in Maryland's defensive zone.
Not going to be many of those opportunities, as you mentioned, Ben. Maryland outscoring their opponents 45-16 coming in. Now that's 47-16 after the first 17 minutes of play. Indiana with possession now, just going around the defense here, trying to push it forward, but there's Van Rootselaar to intercept a pass, and now she's working through traffic. It's going to stay in Maryland's possession here. Van Rootselaar, quick pass into DeBurdine with another whistle. A lot of whistles here so far tonight.
And Indiana so far may have a lot of work to do catching up. Maryland 5-0 when they're leading at half, and 6-1 when tied at the half. So it's a Maryland team that if you can't come away with a lead at halftime, not going to be really easy to come from behind and beat them. But Maryland, really no one's had an easy time beating them. Only one team's beat them, and that's Princeton. It took 2 overtimes to get there.
That last shot by DeBurdine deflected by an by a Maryland forward, and it goes out of bounds. So now Indiana pushes the ball into the other side of the field, but Maryland able to keep possession again. And as Ben mentioned, you mentioned in the last quarter how Maryland's been so effective with time of possession. Seems like Indiana really hasn't held the ball for more than a minute here so far tonight. But now Maryland once again pushing it up. Here's Bressler Inside to wide open Donrat, one-on-one opportunity. She gets past Loveridge, but not enough room to work with. A fast break there for Maryland, but Donrat just didn't have the angle.
And Donrat probably just a little too much on that last touch. Loveridge made a pretty good play to come out and maybe scare her a little bit, kind of make her take that last touch, and there's a little bit too much on it. And Donrat, if a little bit less pace on it, she would have had a free net with Loveridge coming out to making that sliding play.
Loveridge, her career high in saves is 8. Her season high is 6, and she's already at 6 tonight in the first 19 minutes, so likely going to see some new records set for Arabella Loveridge tonight in terms of season high saves and career saves.
And at this rate, we might see that coming in this half alone.
Maryland just keeps putting the pressure on offensively with 10:40 remaining here in the first half. Just trying to set something up here. Verleg back over to right at midfield. Back inside to Van Rootselaar. Kicks it back out to Verleg. Donnelly along the right side. Verleg gave her a look, but now it's along the left side for Kraus. And there's a nice block by Kiewak. And now Indiana tries to go the other way, but goes right back to Van Rootselaar. And now Donnelly along the far right side. Pushes it up to Donrat, working through a triple team, and we get a whistle on another penalty corner upcoming for the Terrapins, their 7th of the night.
And it's all set up by the way Maryland moves out the ball. You see when DeBurdine passes over the right side, the way that she instantly cuts over into that middle area, and then the ball coming right back into it, it's almost guaranteed to get them a penalty corner every time. Just the way that they're able to kind of see where the Indiana defense is set up, and they position themselves so intelligently into a spot where usually when the ball comes in, it's going to result with them getting a penalty corner, and that's why they're getting their 7th of the game right here.
They got their first goal off of a couple missed opportunities on a penalty corner. They had 2 shots before they found the back of the cage, and then they finally did. 7th penalty corner, DeBurdine inside. Van Rootselaar, slap shot, not good. Donrat's put back, cleared out by Indiana. Excellent defense by Indiana to hold Maryland to another no goal on a penalty corner. And that was just great defense by Loveridge and company.
8 saves already. She's tied her career high, and probably in the next few moments here, we might be calling out a career high for her.
So Van Rootselaar again, that pass deflected. And now Donrat to Donnelly. Donnelly working inside, and that pass is taken away by the Hoosiers. Van Rootselaar going toe for toe and getting the ball back. But once again, Indiana doesn't really have the speed to kind of get some breakaway opportunities, but they're doing a good job of whenever they can get the ball, just getting it away from the circle and making Maryland work their way back to it.
And what's so great about Van Rootselaar, we just saw in that play, when they lose the ball, she just comes back and gets it.
In the circle, some tight defense, and it's going to go in favor of the Hoosiers with the whistle, so another good defensive play there by Indiana. And now they're going to get possession.
Look at all the substitutions having to come in and out of the game for this Indiana team. They're pretty gassed from being on defense basically this entirety of the first half.
Yeah, Kai Snell, Megan Dillon, and Etling check back in for the Hoosiers. There's a trip there by Verleg, a little slow to get up. But Maryland will keep possession. Approaching the halfway point here of the second quarter. Couple chances for Maryland in this quarter, 3 shots, but no goals. Van Rootselaar nearly trips along the back line. And now playing some defense against Indiana. Now Kraus to Donrat. Top of the circle, it's to Burdine. Over to Van Rootselaar, we get another whistle. Now, quick pace here. Van Rootselaar tries to take a shot, it misses. She gets it right back. Van Rootselaar, another whistle, and it's off her foot, so Indiana's gonna get back the ball here.
You can hear the Indiana coaches screaming, set up, set up. Once Maryland gets that whistle, they've taken advantage of the way they kind of can catch Indiana out of position and just play it in the middle really quick and get a shot opportunity. And that's why they've been really trying to preach it, that Indiana's got to get themselves set up. This Maryland team plays so fast, and they've really had a hard time keeping up with them.
That's how Leah Kraus got in such good position to make the assist on that second goal scored by BB Donrat. And now once again, Indiana flips field, but Maryland still with the ball here. Paige Keft has really not had to do much tonight. Just let the ball go past her a couple times. Other than that, it's been the Maryland offense doing everything for the Terrapins, and that's where we stand with the 2-0 lead. Van Rootselaar working quick again, inside to Burdine, up in the air, and it's gonna go out of bounds. Maryland will keep the ball, and now Morris Adams quickly, once again with that pace, inside. Kraus, nowhere to go. And another foul called on the Terrapins.
Although it's 2-0 and 17 shots for Maryland, I'll give a little bit of credit to this Indiana defense so far. They've made a couple plays and they've had to. We've seen a lot of deflections. Seen really good goalie play from Arabella Loveridge so far, but something's got to change for Indiana. They got to possess the ball offensively, and the defense, they can only do so much back there against this Maryland offense.
Good hustle there by Kai Snell to try and keep that one in, but Maryland, the defense, able to get the ball back. Rain Wright and Morris Adams doing a great job there tonight for Maryland. Here's Margot Lawn working her way up. It's off her foot, and official definitely sees that one. That was clear. Little trip up between the stick and the foot. Lawn had a good chance to try and get the Maryland offense in position for an opportunity there, but off the foot. And now Indiana, once again, just trying to make anything possible here. But once again, the defense for Rain Wright, all over the place tonight, is number 17 in black.
That back line for Maryland been so good. The only weakness of the team, according to Maharg so far, was in that Princeton game. They said that back line on the baseline, their defense was a little bit weaker, but Maryland so good at kind of controlling the midfield, essentially. When their backs come up in here, they make it really hard for Indiana to kind of just get the ball out of their own zone. They just take one step up, and they're usually able to deflect the ball away, and that's just what makes it so hard to get an offensive possession against this defense.
That Princeton game, the only time Maryland has allowed more than 2 goals at any point this season. They allowed 4 in that loss. There's another shot by Kraus. It's wide. Inside Clouts, a whistle, and another penalty corner coming up for Maryland.
And Arabella Loveridge, that's her career high 9th save today, so congratulations to her. She's had a lot of work cut out for her in this first half, and she's been pretty impressive so far. 2 goals on the board, but 19 shots against her. She saved 9 of them. She's done really everything she can for this Hoosier team.
Keeping them in the game, no doubt about it. And now, but another opportunity here for Maryland. Looks like Donrat is going to serve it in. And now, I believe that's Donnelly in position to take a shot here on the penalty corner. Donrat sets it in. Donnelly. Megs Loveridge, and Maryland extends their lead. It's now 3-0 in favor of the Terrapins.
There you go, finally on the 9th corner of the day for Maryland. They're able to capitalize on the penalty corner there for the 2nd time today. And really perfectly done right there. I think a lot of times on those other corners, Loveridge kind of expecting that deflection to bounce it up. Donnelly just keeping it low, and I think Loveridge a little caught off guard by it, and she was able just to get it under her legs.
So Maryland switches it up to Burdine, usually sets it into Van Rootselaar. That time it was Donrat setting it up for Donnelly. Donnelly connects her 2nd goal of the season in just her 3rd start of the year, and Maryland now leads by 3. So the offense for Maryland on high display tonight. They scored 7 back on September the 25th against Michigan State. And in terms of an on-pace standpoint, it looks likely that they're going to reach that 7 mark again.
They scored 7 in that first game against Drexel as well. So this is a Maryland team that can score a lot. They can score quick.
Numbers here for Maryland. Bressler inside. Another shot and another goal for Maryland. That's Margot Lawn on the fast break opportunity. And just like that, it goes from being 2-0 to 4-0 within a matter of moments.
Like I just said, they can score a lot and they can score quick. And that's exactly what Maryland did on that play. the way Maryland can just push the pace in transition, this Indiana team, they're just gassed. You can see it from the early part. There's 4 minutes left in this first half. Indiana's gassed. They've had to be on defense this entire time, and they can't keep up with Maryland.
Now down to 4 minutes remaining here in the second quarter. Maryland has just extended their lead, doubled their lead in the past minute. And it seems like Maryland is running away with it. Van Rootselaar has not scored any of the 4 goals. She scored all 4 of the goals, as we mentioned last weekend in that road stint. But 4 different goal scorers for Maryland here tonight. Margot Lawn, Riley Donnelly, BB Donrat, and Emma DeBurdine in reverse order have scored for Maryland tonight.
It was that Drexel game at the beginning of the year. I believe 7 different goal scorers scored for the Terps that game as well. So maybe Maryland on pace for another special night like that here offensively.
For Margot Lawn, her 4th goal of the year, assisted by Belle Bressler with her 4th assist. So Maryland just padding the stats tonight in a game where it's an offensive reboot for the Terrapins, displaying why they are the #2 team in the nation. Capable of going on the road rather, and beating some of the top teams, not only the conference but the country, and then coming back home and putting on an offensive clinic in the opening half. And they still have a whole nother half to go. They lead by 4. Maryland scored, as you mentioned, Ben, 7 in that season opener right here against Drexel. Then they scored 6 against New Hampshire back on September the 11th. And now 4 here tonight, as well as the 7 they scored against Michigan State. They scored 8 against this Indiana team last season. And once again, that looks like that total for Maryland tonight might look pretty similar to that 8 from last season.
Maryland joining the Big Ten in 2014, and Indiana all time never to see a win against them. And this, if things continue the way they are looking right now, this will be the 10th time that Indiana's fell to Maryland before they could even beat them once.
High stick there for the Hoosiers. Now Nieswanger, excuse me, working along the far side. Indiana now with the ball. Hoofer pushing it up. Pass intended for Snell. She can't get a stick on it, and it goes out of the back line. And Maryland, once again, with 1:23, will have possession of the ball. Likely one more chance here for Maryland to get their 5th goal before the halftime break.
We're talking about Maryland, #2 in the nation, #1 in the Big Ten. In the Big Ten, easily the best conference in terms of field hockey-wise. 7 teams in the top 25 rankings. It's really unbelievable stuff, the powerhouse conference that the Big Ten has built on the field hockey pitch.
Here's Hoofer inside. Finally a chance for Indiana, and finally Indiana will have a chance from the penalty corner with 54 seconds to go in the half.
It's been a long time coming for this Indiana team, and they're down by 4 right now. Nothing's gone their way, but a goal right here could maybe give you a little bit of momentum going into halftime. Maybe you can shift the complexity of this game just a little bit, but this is a really big penalty quarter for this Indiana team. If they want to have any chance in the second half, they got to get one in here now.
First time Paige Keff will be tested tonight, and it'll be the first time Indiana will likely have a shot. They have yet to take a shot. If they get one off here, it'll be their first of the night. Maryland already with 21 shots. So Indiana here finally with the chance to try and cut this deficit back down to 3. Terps lead 4-0 over the visiting Hoosiers. 54 seconds remaining in the opening half. Pass inside, set up, shot taken, it's blocked. And once again, Maryland's defense gets called with the whistle, and another penalty corner upcoming for Indiana. It was Mo Zaleski who took that shot that was deflected by Maryland. And now Indiana gets another chance for the penalty corner. So it'll be Dawson at the back line, setting it in. Set up once again, the shot up into the air, And it's going to find the back of the cage. The deflection for Indiana works wonders, and the Hoosiers strike for the first time tonight. It's now 4-1 Maryland.
Well, the laws of physics right there. What comes up must come down, and that deflection goes up, and it comes down into the back of the cage for Indiana on their first shot of the game. They find the back of the net. What a huge morale boost for this Indiana team as we head towards the end of the half here. They needed that one bad.
So the defense may be struggling for Indiana, but when the offense has gotten a chance, they are 100% tonight in terms of shot percentage, 1 for 1. And now Indiana has a point on the board with 20 seconds remaining in the half. First shot of the night, what a weird bounce that goes in Indiana's favor. They needed a bounce, as you mentioned, Ben, and they got one. Now down to 6 seconds remaining in the half. Intercepted there by Donrat, and the clock is likely going to run out on this opening half. But Maryland with an offensive explosion. 4 goals total of last weekend, 4 here tonight. Indiana gets a late score, but Maryland will take a 4-1 lead as we head into the halftime break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after halftime on Big Ten Plus. Shot front, 21-1 in terms of shots for Maryland and Indiana tonight. Paige Kept-Really hasn't had any opportunities to make any saves other than that one in that last minute of the opening half. So it's just going to be about Indiana's defense. Can they get the ball back? Can they create turnovers? And if they can make this game a little bit closer. But a 3-goal deficit is no stretch of the imagination. It's definitely possible, but it's going to be tough.
So Maryland will start with it on offense here. They'll control it from their back line. Maryland dominant offensively. Indiana just came out aggressively. Van Wonderen trying to take it away from Maryland, but Maryland will now play it forward. And Krause's pass Looking for Van Rootselaar, will go out of play. Or excuse me, that was Sophia Clouts, the intended recipient of that pass.
Laser beam on that clear out by Indiana.
Kylie Dawson descending it all the way to the other side of the turf, and Maryland will retake possession.
That's been a strategy for Indiana all game long. Anytime they seem to get in a position to have nobody around them, they clear it out and just switch the field position and try and get a turnover on the other side of the field, because they haven't been able to have any luck doing it in the midfield or on the other side. So they're just switching the strategy to putting Maryland in a tough position on the other side and hoping they can make a mistake.
Burdine passing on the outside. Riley Donnelly now moves over into the right side. She'll try to insert it in the circle, and Indiana will turn it away. It was once again, that was Kylie Dawson just getting rid of it, just clearing it out of play. But now Maryland deep in the Indiana zone, right. We'll move it over to the left, and it'll come back to right here in just a moment. Right inserts it to the middle. There's DeBurdine looking for Van Rootselaar in the middle, and it's cleared away by Dawson. Donnelly trying to find that right side. And they'll get deflected out of play by the Hoosiers. Van Rootselaar on the far side. She's streaking all the way in that far side. Looks like she might make a run. Comes in the middle for DeBurdine. Let's turn away. That was Kraus, actually, or Verleg. Right switches the field. There's Van Rootselaar going to take it from the left side. The insert into the middle, deflected, and then taken away by Van Worden. Or now Van Worden with those taken away. Actually by by Sofia Arabola Garcia, the lone goal scorer for the Hoosiers today. And she'll now deflect the pass back towards Dawson, but it'll go out of play, so a bad turnover for Indiana, and Maryland will have a shot going the other way. Donnelly drops in the right side. Kraus tries to enter it in. Indiana keeps it away. And then Donnelly once again. End of the right, she cuts it in the middle, and it's deflected off the stick of Indiana and out of the zone. Van Rootselaar now trying to play it back, but she'll turn it over.
Indiana defense putting up a fight, but Maryland once again, as we saw a lot in that first half, still able to hold the possession here. Anytime Indiana tries to clear it out, Riley Donnelly's there to get it right back for Maryland.
So Maryland now working on the left side. There's Van Rootselaar with it. Coming back into the middle, it's Donrat. Or that's DeBurdine. Now it comes to Donrat in the middle, working her way through traffic. Donrat trying to put it in. Another chance for Maryland. And a flick shot is deflected and turned away. Ball comes back into the middle, deflected once again, and Maryland will get a penalty corner here in just a second.
Just another great sequence by Maryland, just getting so many people involved. You had Clouts doing a couple crosses in, Donrat trying to be in the middle of the circle, taking a couple shots there. Now DeBurdine will head to the back line once again and set one up for Van Rootselaar. And another opportunity for Maryland as they try to get that lead back up to 4.
So DeBurdine will set it in. Pass inside, and the shot deflected and into the back of the cage. Maryland's got their 5th of the day.
It's Riley Donnelly once again. I believe it was deflected, but she was the one that took the shot. And once again, Maryland just doing so many different things offensively, and it's really been no answer for Indiana defensively so far. And once again, Loveridge, nothing she could really do. Took a funny hop. She was ready to stop the shot on the ground and goes right over her helmet and extends the Maryland lead to 5-1.
So Donnelly took the shot. Couldn't really see where the deflection came off of. We'll get the official goal scorer here.
Fichter was the goal scorer for Maryland on that last one.
So Natalie Fichter will get credit with the goal off the deflection from the Riley Donnelly shot. That's 25 shots on the day for Maryland. Just 5 minutes gone in this second half, and Maryland's already got another one.
That was the first goal of the year for Fichter. Got off the deflection. She didn't quite take the shot herself, but she was able to get the goal off the assist by Donnelly. Congrats to Fichter for first of the year.
It's Maryland trying to work it inside again. A lot of traffic on the inside, a whistle. Indiana takes possession, and Maryland tries to take it right back, but the officials will stop play again.
So just back and forth here for Maryland. They've already got 5, but of course they're not done yet. They want to score as many goals as possible. They're not going to take their foot off the gas. And as long as they keep having opportunities, they're going to keep taking shots, already up to 25.
So Leah Kraus, outside here comes a slapper that's kicked away by Loveridge. And a whistle in this one will go Indiana's way after it came out of bounds. Or Maryland will actually keep possession at the top now. Mara Verleg with it. Looking the outside for Donnelly. Donnelly then lose possession, was knocked out of bounds by a Hoosier. Leah Kraus with it. Wright will control possession, and she'll switch it over to the other side of the field. Trying to shift that Indiana defense over. Maryland been doing this the same thing. Van Rootselaar, who inserts it for the Burdine, and then it'll come back out to Wright. Maryland now moving to the right side. Donnelly inserts it towards the circle. And then this time, Indiana will take possession after the pass sails out of bounds.
Another nice job of the Indiana defense. Just another shot on goal, another deflected shot by Loveridge and the Indiana back line, doing a great job continuously of deflecting opportunities for Maryland. Of course, the 5 goals tell the story of the game, but Indiana's defense, with the amount of volume Maryland's had offensively.
And a slap shot. Burdine deflects it, and she gets it in. But looks like the refs are going to wave this one off. Let's see. I believe the goal will still count. Looks like we're going to have our video official coming over. Not sure what the call is.
I think we're going to have a replay here. And looking to see if that one was out of if Donrat was maybe out of bounds, or there was a foul called on that one. Officials are in the press box looking at the replay now. Donrat looked like she was the one that got the ball into the back of the cage. Now, dependent on whether or not there was a foul on the play, that is what is being determined right now. If the play stands as is, Maryland's lead will extend to 6-1, and it'll be their largest lead so far tonight.
The ball came inside, and Donrat was fighting at the front of the cage with Loveridge.
And while we have a minute, you may notice the lighting is a little dark here at the Plex tonight. One of the lights at the stadium tonight is out of commission. Don't know what the problem is with the lights, but they are off, so that's why the game started a little earlier. That's why halftime was shorter. Maryland and Indiana trying to get this one in before the vision becomes too impaired. But 7:30 remaining here in the third quarter. sky already, or the sun has already set. Lights are doing everything they can right now. Definitely dark, significantly darker on the Maryland defensive side than the Maryland offensive side right now. And Indiana working their way into the dark if they can get an opportunity on that side.
And the coaches love to meet over here, and you can really tell the difference making, just for us especially. I mean, I think I'm kind of having a little bit of a hard time seeing the numbers at this point with the Maryland black jersey. And I believe it's going to be no goal. No goal is the call.
No goal is the call. Indiana able to get a bit of a break there off of the Maryland opportunity. And Indiana will get possession. Couldn't quite tell if Donrat was possibly out of bounds. Ball went out of bounds before she was able to get a stick on it, or if there was a foul called that they missed initially. But after review, goal is no good, and Indiana keeps it a 4-goal deficit.
Clouch tries to take it away, and there'll be a whistle. And Maryland will keep possession. It's now Van Rootselaar. Coming to the other side for Donnelly. And Maryland now will play it back. Switch it again. Something they've been doing in the second half. They played over here, and then one more pass towards the outside. There's Van Rootselaar towards the edge of the circle. She's got multiple Indiana defenders on her. And Maryland will just have to switch the field and come back the other way. Now a ball into the middle. A lot of commotion in front, and a shot just deflects off the side of the cage for Maryland.
Almost another goal there for Maryland off the backhanded slap shot. I believe it was DeBurdine who took that one.
It might actually have been Margot Lawn. A little tough to see with their jersey right now tucked in, and then the lighting. Really making it hard to see some of the numbers on the jerseys at this point. So you can only imagine how it is on this other side of the field. As we see over here, I can't see the number of the recipient who just passed the ball away from Maryland. Now Indiana coming the other way. And this is one of the first times Indiana's had possession this entire second half, but it's quickly taken away by Maryland. The other way they come.
The difference, ironically, night and day on either side of the field. Very hard to see on that side that Paige Keft is on right now for Maryland defending, and then normal lighting on the right side, but still a little darker. Not as lit as it usually is with that one light post out.
So Donnelly will just play it back. Five minutes to go in this third quarter. Maryland leads 5-1. And just controlling possession at this point. Maryland done so much offensively. They can really just kind of control possession and slow things down a little bit. And a good play by Indiana to knock it out of play. It was Kylie Dawson, who we've called her name a couple of times today. And a pass to the inside will just sail out of play, and Indiana will finally get another chance at it here. Maryland's so good in the way they pressure the Hoosiers trying to get out of their own zone. That's what makes them really dangerous, almost kind of like the hockey concept, the forecheck, really good for this Maryland field hockey team.
They are all over the place, flying all over the field. Anytime they aren't able to execute on the offensive end, when they transition into defense, they're playing an offensive defense. They're being very aggressive, looking to instantaneously get the ball back into the attack.
And that was Carly Hine receiving the pass in the middle, and she just loses possession of it. The sophomore out of Paoli, Pennsylvania, her first career appearance last season was against Duke, and she was a Max Field Hockey Top 50 player in the class of 2021, but this Maryland team really deep. She hasn't really got her opportunity to shine through yet.
That's what happens when you have so many talented players on a team like Maryland, #2 in the country. You have Sophie Clouts, a freshman, who's getting a lot of minutes. So you have the graduate students coming back. You have these transfers coming in, such as Kraus and Van Rootselaar. So tough for some of these top recruits to get playing time right away when there's so many talented upperclassmen.
And that's just part of the Maryland program. The goal is always to win, but also to improve. We've seen how Maharg is able to develop players over the year, and she has a plan for all these recruits that are here. It's just really a matter of learning the system and learning the Maryland field hockey way, as they say. So just under 3 minutes left in this third quarter. The pass comes the inside, and Loveridge will just flick it out of play. As it continues to get darker here outside, it continues to get darker on Indiana. They're down 5-1 as we head towards the fourth quarter here in just about 2.5 minutes.
Another penalty corner upcoming here for Maryland. It'll be the 10th double digit now for Maryland as they try to extend their lead to 6-1.
Looks like it'll be BB Donrat who's going to pass it in, who just scored the goal that was waved off. That would have been her second of the day. She scored the second goal back in the first quarter.
Second time tonight, Donrat will set one in with Donnelly looking to take the shot.
Donrat inserts it. Here's Donnelly's flick. Ball deflected, and then Indiana's able to clear it out. And now they'll go the other way. Trying to hustle back is Maryland. But a good pass through, and Indiana has somewhat of a chance. And then a whistle, and Indiana will finally get possession. Minute 59 left in this third quarter.
Once again, stolen by Maryland, the defense. Whenever they've had to show up tonight, they have. Only that one miscue on the tough hop. And that one goal scored by Indiana on their lone shot still.
It's back the other way. Maryland comes with it. And we're going to have another penalty corner for Maryland. This one will be the 11th of the day.
Still just countless opportunities for Maryland. Penalty corner after penalty corner for Maryland. This will be their 30th shot if they can get one off here on the corner. And that last penalty corner was their 100th of the season. This one will be number 101. Just what a number when it comes to creating opportunities. They are so aggressive offensively. They create so many fouls that opposing defenses have a hard time coming up with answers for, and that's been proven tonight for Indiana's defense.
So Donrat will put it in again. Donnelly set to take the shot. Here's Donnelly's shot deflected and sent away by the Hoosiers. And another whistle. And Maryland will go again from the same position, I believe.
A lot of stoppages here in the third quarter, longer quarter than we've seen in the first half. As you can really start to see the difference in darkness, even just the past couple of minutes, has made it even darker on that far side of the field.
So on the light side of the field, Donrat sets it in for Donnelly, and her shot will sail wide. And both the sides of the field, one being light, one being dark right now, kind of just shows how this game's been. It's been a really bright, one-sided game for this Maryland team, and a game that Indiana's probably going to want to forget about for the most part at this point.
Yeah, definitely back-to-back tough performances for the Hoosiers. Of course, coming off of the 4-0 loss to Penn State, and now 5-1 here against Maryland. They got a goal on the board, can raise their head to that, take that as a point of emphasis moving forward. They still can't give up, and we still have a whole quarter to play. Indiana definitely still not out of this game, but it's going to take a lot for Indiana to come back and score 4 more goals when it's been all Maryland dominating possession this entire quarter, Indiana really hasn't had any opportunities on their side of the field offensively, other than that one we saw a minute or two ago that was quickly negated by Maryland's defense.
So Logan Anderson, the junior, in the game at defense. She plays it inside. She's a big sportsmanship award winner in 2021. But now, here at the big lead, the junior, who doesn't see too many minutes. We're seeing a lot of players getting into the game at this point right now, and that'll take us into the end of the third quarter. Maryland gets one more goal in the third quarter. A second one's taken away. 31 shots total on the day. It's been all Maryland.
And that's where we stand now for a 5-1 Maryland lead.
It's Maryland. It's been dominance all around for this Maryland team, and coming off wins against top 5 teams last week, this Maryland team riding high, and then finally getting a somewhat weaker opponent today in Indiana. Don't want to give any discredit Indiana at all, because they've had some pretty big wins so far this season. They're 8-5, not a bad team by any means, but Maryland just playing at another level at this point in the season. Since that Princeton loss, this Maryland team has looked like a team that's really going to be in contention to compete for that national title.
And as we start the fourth quarter, you can really see the difference in lighting between the Maryland defensive side right now and the side they've been on pretty much the entirety of this second half so far, as Indiana really didn't have any chances in that third quarter. Definitely going to see some names, as we mentioned in the last quarter, that aren't usually heard. Logan Anderson in there defensively, as well as Sam Zivna getting some time as well. And Donnelly's gone the distance so far in just her third start of the year, in there for the injured Hope Rose. As now Indiana finally has an opportunity. Van Wonderen pushing forward, but Wright is in there to make a defensive stop and get the ball back from Maryland. Donrat will push it up now. Zivna trying to weave her way around and get open along the right sideline. The pass is intended for Zivna, but it's taken away by Oriella Garcia, who scored that goal late with a minute remaining in the second quarter. Deflected right over Paige Keft. 5 goal scorers for Maryland. Natalie Feetzer got that lone goal in the third quarter for Maryland. Is now Van Rootselaar, who's still in the game, is pushing forward towards the middle. Gives it back to Donrat. Now Anderson gets a touch. Swings it back to right in the middle. Over to the left, it's Morris Adams. Now Wright once again. Back over to the right side, Anderson. Swings it to Donrat. And Maryland is trying to create more opportunities, but also winding down the clock at the same time. 13 minutes remaining.
Be interesting to see how
Kraus working her way inside. Once again, Loveridge with a deflection. And now Donrat, top of the circle. Move inside. Good defense there by Indiana. Now back out, Van Rootselaar. Swings it to Anderson, another just setting up of an opportunity here for the Terps. Donrat, double teamed, back out to right.
Had to stop myself there because Maryland got pretty dangerously close, but it'll be interesting to see how Maryland moves the ball offensively. They're going to be still trying to put the ball in the middle, putting up shots. 31 shots, that seems like a lot, but the most all time for this Maryland team 5 years ago against Towson. They put a 58 in one game.
Unreal stat there, courtesy of the Maryland record book. And now Indiana with a fast break here on the other side. Pass forward, Megan Dillon, guarded by Rain Wright, and Wright wins the battle. Another chance for Indiana on the other side, but they just continuously cannot make do with that opportunity. They don't have the speed to keep up with the Maryland defense. Rain Wright given the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week award for a reason. She's shown her defense, and it's been on display all night tonight.
Yeah, it's been a real world-class game by her so far today. The way she's able to control it, not just defensively, but we see her when she comes up from her back position and Maryland sets on offense. She plays a vital role in that Maryland offense, just kind of controlling things, and she really has to use her vision. She has to ultimately make the decision of which side, just to see where the defense is going and decide which way Maryland wants to go to insert it towards the middle. She's almost like the point guard of this offense, essentially. She's a defensive player.
Versatility is key for Maryland. And when they start to face more of these better teams later on in the year, especially in Big Ten tournament play, when they're going to have to face the Iowas again, they're going to have to face the Northwesterns again. They still have Penn State coming up in their slate, and they have to go to Penn State and face a tough team in the Nittany Lions on their home turf. So still, for Maryland, when they're able to get these offensive explosions and fix things up a little bit, they take that and run with it. But they're still prepping themselves for a postseason run, and they are certainly in a position to make a similar deep run to the way they did last year, but hopefully can get past the Final Four and make it to the national championship this time around.
Well, this is a team that's got a winning history here for Maryland, so we know Coach Barg. We know she knows how to win. We know that she knows how to make it to that stage. Just a matter of Maryland. If they can play the way that they're playing right now, I don't really see who's going to be able to keep up with them. Obviously, a lot of tough teams still lie ahead. Liberty's still very good. That was a team that they lost to last year in the Final Four. And then we have Syracuse, who's also a team on the rise. And then, like I said, Big Ten schedule coming up can get pretty difficult for them as well. But Maryland been battle tested in this early part of the season. Northwestern, who they just knocked off last week. Same with Iowa. They've played a lot of tough teams.
Some traffic there on the inside, and Indiana wins the defensive battle. Donrat called for the whistle, and Indiana once again negates another Maryland opportunity. No goals here in the fourth quarter through the first nearly 6 minutes. In terms of upcoming schedule for the Terrapins, they have 5 games left on their regular season slate. They'll host Georgetown this upcoming Tuesday, and then Rutgers the next Sunday, the 16th, before they head to Penn State and take on the Nittany Lions on the road. Then they come back to Maryland. That Penn State game's their final Big Ten regular season game of the year. They finish with 2 non-conference opponents when they host Virginia, and then finish the year at UConn. Of course, UConn, the team that Maryland played last year here in College Park, where Missy Mahar got her 600th career win as head coach. And so the home and home, UConn comes here in 2021. Maryland heads to UConn in 2022 to end the regular season. In terms of the game at play, Indiana did another one of the clear-out strategies we've seen. Unable to get the turnover as Van Rootselaar is working along the right sideline, along the Indiana bench. Van Rootselaar working through traffic, guarded closely by Hoofer, and Van Rootselaar gets the ball back, but now quickly stolen by Megan Dillon. No numbers for Indiana, though. It was a 2-on-5 there around midfield. And now Clouts inside, sandwiched by a triple team. It's going to go off her foot, and Indiana will go the other way. Approaching the halfway point remaining here in the fourth quarter and in regulation. Maryland continues to lead 5-1. Natalie Fichter scored that 5th goal in the third quarter, and that's been the last goal we've seen. Maryland still with many opportunities and still holding Indiana to that lone shot. Now here's Maryland again. Slapper by Gaughan. Maddie Gaughan, the senior out of Pennsylvania. Not a lot of opportunities for playing time throughout her career, but she's getting into the game here in the fourth quarter of this 5-1 Maryland lead right now. Time just ticking off the clock for Maryland. Indiana likely not going to be able to tie this one back up, but still trying to create opportunities. Bit of a dangerous pass there. But Kennedy Reardon, one of the longest tenured Hoosiers on the squad, able to be there. There's a little bit of a trickle shot by Sophie Clouts, kicked away by Loveridge. In terms of saves before, she reached that career high back in the first half. currently at 17 shots, just demolishing her career high, which was at 8. She's doubled it and added another one as well for 17. Gonna be a tough career high to beat for Loveridge.
I think Loveridge will remember this game for a really long time because of the career high, but not really for great reasons, though. 5 goals allowed, but you can't really say a lot of that to her fault. Just 33 shots peppered her way by this Maryland offense. Really, really tough day for her to overall, and in a way, the Indiana defense just haven't given her much of a chance because they've had to give Maryland so many possessions.
She saved just about over half of the Maryland shots, 17 of the 33. And here's another opportunity for Maryland. Inside, Loveridge swinging around in good defense there, as Maryland almost had an opportunity with Neiswanger, but just kind of shuffled around the circle. But Maryland retains possession with Van Rootselaar remains in the game. Now Indiana with the steal. Van Rootselaar trying to get it right back, and it'll go out of bounds. Just the same back and forth here. Maryland gets an opportunity, but Indiana able to force it out of bounds and take back over. Second half's been a lot of the same. We had that offensive explosion in the first half for Maryland. 2 goals in the first 2 quarters, respectively. It was DeBurdine and Donrat in that first quarter, and then Donnelly and Lawn in the second quarter. Those goals by Donnelly and Lawn scored within about a minute of each other. And then, of course, Fechter adds that 5th goal in the 3rd quarter. But nothing here offensively in the 4th. Bit of a stalemate in the past 11 minutes with 4 to go. DeBurdine will check back in from Maryland. And Van Rootselaar still pushing it up. DeBurdine, who just came right back in, going forward. Wide open is Zivna. She's going to take a shot. It's blocked by Loveridge. Zivna had the opportunity, but Loveridge stepped forward a little bit out of the cage in order to make the save. And now Indiana takes over again. That's a really good defensive possession there for the Hoosiers.
Yeah, break there for the Hoosiers. Wide open was Zivna with the breakaway chance. And I think she hesitated just a little too much. She kind of allowed Loveridge to take one extra step out, make herself appear a little bit bigger in front of the cage. And that's where it gets really hard as a forward to kind of take that shot when the goalie's right in front of you like that. You have a lot less room for error where you put it.
Closed the distance, right as you mentioned, Ben, with that hesitation step. Zivna could have taken the opportunity when she was a little further away, waited a little bit longer. Loveridge able to come out, close the gap between the cage, and basically force Zivna to take a shot right at Loveridge instead of going around. As there's another whistle by the official going not in the direction of Indiana, and their head coach, Kayla Bayshore, not appreciative of the call. A lot of whistles, according to Bayshore, have gone in Maryland's direction. Bayshore has been very vocal on the sideline tonight in terms of wanting calls, but Indiana hasn't had a lot of calls go their way. But we get another whistle, and I think it's just going to be a reset of where they're going to place the ball.
Bayshore have been very vocal. 24 and 41 all time, soon to be 24 and 42 falling today, and then now falling to 5 and 30 in Big Ten play. So it's been a struggle for her in conference play and this whole Indiana as a whole.
Bayshore again being vocal on the sideline, but now less than 2 minutes. None of these fouls going to change the outcome of this one, but still Indiana trying to get that second goal. There's some good defense there by Anderson, or the other end. Indiana again working in. First big opportunity here in the 4th quarter, and they finally get another penalty corner. It'll be their 3rd of the game, their 1st in the 2nd half.
And looks like we're gonna get a card here.
And we have a green card issued to Kayla Bayshore, and now she has been ejected. Kayla Bayshore no longer will be on the bench for Indiana here in the final minute and a half. She was just issued a red card and will be asked to leave. So an ejection there for Bayshore, who was really looking for a call. And she was mentioning how the official was not looking out for her own player's safety, and that's what led to the ejection. Some conversation in that past minute between the official and Indiana head coach Kayla Bayshore, but Bayshore now headed towards the parking lot with Indiana having their third penalty corner. Can't quite tell who's setting it in with the light, but Indiana taking a shot, slapper, puts Keft on the ground, put back attempt, no good, and another whistle and an Indiana player down, taking a knee.
Still just trying to process what just happened here. The official came over and said, there's 2 minutes left in the game. We got you. We're trying to look out. We understand the safety concern. And Bayshore just relentlessly just peppering the referee with accusing her of not making any calls for him. She came over, she said, this is where you get a card. You say it one more time, you're done. And then she just says one more thing, instantly turns to a red card, and Bayshore is now gone.
Very fast-moving situation. Went from a warning to a green card to a red card within a matter of about 30 seconds. But, of course, that frustration just coming at the end of this game where Maryland will likely take this one 5-1. Last 45 seconds here of play. Maryland likely just going to pass the ball back and forth. And it was just a story of the offense in that first half. 4 goals in the first 2 quarters for Maryland. And now with 30 seconds, getting a little bit of movement for Maryland, but Indiana able to take it right back. Looking for a second goal here to end this one out with their head coach ejected. And last 15 seconds, but once again, Ben, Maryland doing everything they can in the first half. They had a tough time scoring goals last week. Were able to squeak out 2 overtime wins against top 5 teams and take care of business tonight.
A really big step forward for this Maryland team. Those wins against 2 top 5 teams, so big for them. But today, offense really coming alive. And this is a really good sign for this Maryland team heading forward. They're now 12-1 on the season, and things are really looking up from a hard squad.
As you mentioned, Ben, the number 2